Well, natural disasters come in many different forms in the Pacific Northwest: heat waves, earthquakes, windstorms. Now in Oregon, steps are underway to enlist the help of microgrids in the event that main power grids go down. KVAL's Gold Meadows explains how microgrids work and how new legislation is fast-tracking the small power sources.
When temperatures rise during the summer months, the pull on the main power grids can drastically increase. Microgrids offer supplemental power to ease that load.
On a really hot day where everyone's using their air conditioning and the grid is overloaded, they can take energy from that system. And then during an emergency event where we lose power, a microgrid can disconnect from the grid, and then it can continue to provide energy and power to local users.
Microgrids can stand alone, but also provide power to the main power grid as they're usually connected. They often rely on solar and wind power, storing that power in a battery for later use. As of Governor Tina Kotek's July 17th signing of House Bills 2065 and 2066, there's expected to be a rapid increase in the development of microgrids for Oregon communities. Conservationist nonprofit Sustainable Northwest says these microgrids can be of particular benefit to rural communities like those in southern Oregon, and that's where much of the conversation is being had.
Microgrids were identified as one of those top goals for us. And Sustainable Northwest worked with partners in the legislature to draft these bills. We actually have several microgrid projects that have been proposed across the state already, but because of legal disagreements, litigation, bureaucratic red tape, they haven't been able to move forward, and that's exactly what the bills are designed to address.
One of the bills describes who can own and operate a microgrid system, while the other streamlines engineering reviews for clean energy projects, allowing for more microgrids to be completed quicker. Third-party developers like cities can now develop a microgrid, and the new legislation will help determine how it's funded. Energy Trust of Oregon says the demand is there, though the technology is new, and these microgrids go beyond just a few solar panels to power a house.
Can consist of multiple buildings behind the meter, owned and operated by the customer to provide backup power supply when there's a grid outage. The more sophisticated, larger, more elaborate microgrids, I think we're on the leading edge of that work. So in the not so distant future, we're going to see more sophisticated microgrids, not only owned by municipalities, schools, to provide critical backup power supply.
Energy Trust says when the main grid is down, a microgrid could power things like a fire station, a cooling sensor, or a water treatment plant based on proximity. I'm Gold Meadows reporting.
The Public Utility Commission says it plans to redevelop a regulatory framework for microgrids within the next 18 months. That framework must include how costs will be shared between microgrid users and customers not served by the microgrid, as well as how microgrid owners, subscribers, and developers will be paid for the value of their grid.